Okay, we need to move on, but as long as we're on the subject of 3D films with Frank Oz's voice, it's the MuppetVision 3D, which was actually the last Muppet project Jim Henson directed before his death.
So if any one of you corporate bastards even thinks of updating this for a new generation, I will not be held responsible for my actions.
The film was written by Big Bang Theory co-creator Bill Prady, and the story is not the point. The point is that we have all of our favorite Muppet characters doing classic Muppet gags in 3D. We get to sit in a replica of the Muppet Show Theater. We get an animatronic Statler and Waldorf. The Swedish chef is running the projector, just like in the Muppet movie. Sweetums runs around in the theater. And then there's Waldo. Your mileage may vary on Waldo. Some people find him incredibly annoying, but me, he just makes me sad. Waldo was Jim Henson's experiment with real-time 3D CGI puppetry, and seeing him just reminds me of how many of Henson's ambitious projects and innovations were never fully realized. I would give anything to see what Henson could create with modern special effect technology, and unfortunately that will never come to pass.
You know, guys, when we do a 2-minute piece with Waldo, it takes the computer 120 hours to create the final picture.
Still, overall the film is fun, funny, and filled with that undeniable Muppet spirit that went missing for so long until Jason Segel descended from on high to bring it back. I also have to mention the gift shop, which, despite a disturbing amount of non-Muppet stuff, is full of all sorts of great hidden and inside jokes. Parts of the store are themed after classic Muppet movie sets like the Happiness Hotel from The Great Muppet Caper. The decorations are packed with gags. It's basically everything a Muppet-themed area should be. Well, except for one detail, it's way too small. Originally, Disney MGM Studios was going to have an entire Muppet land, including a dark ride, but all that came out of it was the 3D show and a costume live show that I've only seen on YouTube, but it wasn't that great. All the other plans fell apart after Henson's death. Okay, you know what? I was sad enough that the world doesn't have Jim Henson before hearing about all this. I don't need even more reasons to know that his loss was history's greatest tragedy. But Henson had said that he wanted the world of the Muppets to go on after he was gone. I realize the original plans fell through, but you own the Muppets now, Disney, and you have acres and acres of undeveloped land. Screw just one section, give the Muppets their own entire park.
They're here.
Forget it, I'm just gonna cheer myself up by focusing on all the fun details again. Hey, wait, shouldn't the nursery set be for Muppets Take Manhattan?
This guy's nitpicking makes us look tame.
And his impressions of our voices make us sound lame. Okay, time for a lunch break. Walt Disney World Inside Out. It's got celebrity cameos.
Well, I'm Scott Harriet, host of Walt Disney World Inside Out, so I'm sure that's okay.
Right, and I'm Lamb Chop.
Disneyland's 35th anniversary celebration. Anyway, then we're at Star Tours, and Anthony Daniels dubs new dialogue to pretend it's also a communications hub.
I can't wait to see Miss Piggy.
I haven't seen her since we hijacked the swine trek with Mark Hamill's cousin. So the Star Wars droid set up Tony Danza's Zoom call with the Muppets. That is a true thing about this special that I just said. Why on earth isn't this on Disney+?
Miss Piggy, do you have any special memories of Disneyland?
Nope.
They haven't opened my attraction yet, and they'll just end up closing it really unceremoniously, so screw Anaheim! So now it's time for Miss Piggy to flash back to her first visit to Disneyland, where she didn't fall in love with a ghost, but she did fall in love with the idea of glamour when she saw Cinderella. And yes, Charles Fleischer is there, this time doing his best Chico Marx.
And what kind of job do you want?
Oh, the one where you wear the beautiful gowns and ride in the coach and everyone stares at you adoringly.
That's not a job, that's a Cinderella. Only Cinderella can be Cinderella.
So Piggy tries the Cinderella trajectory, complete with the fairy Gonzo mother. But when magic doesn't work, she tries kidnapping. But Gonzo's too horny for that to work.
Either of you ladies ever date outside your species?
Come on, dude, they're not chickens. So when that doesn't work, she tricks Cinderella into leaving before the parade, because that's what entertainment CMs do. So Piggy gets to be adored, and Gonzo gets to hit on a princess.
Is this thing with you and the prince serious? I mean, can you see other people? Hey! Did anyone ever tell you you have great nostrils?
Ooh. You know, this sketch is one of those early things that Jim Henson hired Bill Prady to write for the Muppets, so you might be able to draw a direct line from this sketch to the ABC Primetime series. Maybe that series wouldn't have gotten canceled had the Muppets just hit on more princesses. Just throwing that out there. Throughout a few of the specials I mentioned already, you may have noted some certain distinguished individuals popping up here and there. You may have been thinking, yeah, their cameos in those specials were good, but what I really want to see is their own Disney Park special. Oh, there could be no other choice for number one but the Muppets at Walt Disney World. The Muppets at Walt Disney World is a special all about how Kermit's grumpy that his friends would rather go to Disney World than hang out at his boring family reunion in the swamp. I miss control freak Kermit. The late great Charles Grodin, reuniting with his rivals in Great Caperdom, plays security guard Quentin Fitzwaller, a diabolical villain who wants to stop the Muppets from breaking and entering. That bastard!
Oh, if my supervisor found out about this, I'd be under the benches scraping used spearmint for the rest of my career.
Come on down to Walt Disney World, where we punish our employees for things beyond their control! Finally, some honesty in Disney Park promotion. Okay, let's get some nitpicks out of the way. Yes, this still has some of the problems of a lot of Disney Park promotions, like the disregard for geography these sitcom episodes always seem to have.
Come on, Scooter, I'll show you it's a small world.
They moved it to MGM Studios for today only. Oh wait, apparently sneaking into MGM got them to Epcot.
Where we want to be is the Chinese theater.
Well, you should have stopped there before you went all the way to Magic Kingdom.
Come on, Star Tours is over this way.
6.9 miles this way in the park we were in earlier. By the way, this aired only 3 months after the Disneyland 35th, so I guess 3PO didn't realize he'd be seeing a lot of Miss Piggy soon.
With a team of agents, we can sweep the park and capture the Muppets.
One single park, that's all Disney World is. There's also a lot of shots that look blue screened. Like there clearly was on-location shooting. I don't doubt that the Muppets actually did go to Walt Disney World, but for every great shot of the Muppets at the resort, there's a lockdown 2-shot with Disney World in the deep background where they look really separated from the background. I mean, I don't begrudge them for needing pickups later if that's what happened. It's just, this much visual blandness is the opposite of what I expect from a Jim Henson production. But despite those nitpicks, this special is fantastic. I have made fun of how a lot of the specials on this list seem to inadvertently undercut their own synergy, but not this one. This one undercuts its own synergy 100% on purpose.
Holy Toledo, look what we've got here. Walt Disney's Laundryland. Lordy, it's a dream come true. Nothing interesting happening up here, Camilla. Let's go back to the laundry.
I know they can get away with it because it's Gonzo and he's the weird one, but this special devotes actual screen time to the claim that the backstage laundry facilities are more exciting than the Indiana Jones epic stunt spectacular. Meanwhile, Rolf gets imprisoned in the kennel, so come on to Disney World and send your pets to jail.
It's just that I thought my friends would like my old home in the swamp, and they hated it.
Kermit spends the whole special moping that his friends don't want to do what he wants to do, until a pre-That's So Raven Simone sings his own song to him.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows and what's on the other side?
I don't believe this.
And then he's inspired not to just accept that his friends want to have fun and let them do it, but to really double down on getting his friends to do what he wants to do. Which is, may I add, not be at Disney World. This special is all about giving Kermit the reassurance that it's okay to not be at Disney World.
I should stop moping around and find my friends and take them back to the swamp for the Frog Festival.
That's the spirit!
That's what makes this special great. It is far more a Muppet special that happens to be at Disney World than a Disney World special that happens to star the Muppets. Sure, they have to say some nice things about Disney World.
Beautiful. It's perfect. Absolutely. I can't think of a thing to complain about.
But they do it in a Muppety way.
I hate it when there's nothing to complain about. This is terrible. Yeah, why did we come to this miserable place? Boo! This! Close this dump down! What do rock musicians want to do more than anything else in the world? I know! Besides that.
I think if there's a central thesis to this video, it's that Disney Plus needs more Disney Park specials with horny Muppets.
Snow White! Snow White!
But in the end, it turns out that Kermit and Mickey are old friends.
I didn't know you knew Mickey Mouse.
Sure, we're both members of FASA.
FASA?
Yeah, Fictional Animal Stars of America.
Yeah, this is one of the few times that they will actually admit that Mickey's a fictional character. So Kermit and the gang learn that they can do both. what everyone else wants to do, and what Kermit wants to do. Kinda. They just do it all, and they all seem to begrudgingly respect each other's choices of enjoyment pastimes. Now, the sinister thing about this special is that it's clearly designed to promote the then-planned buyout of the Jim Henson Company by the Walt Disney Company. Mickey literally says, "Welcome to the family," and then the Muppets sing about how they'll keep on performing for you forever. The sad thing about this special is that it aired only 10 days before Jim Henson's tragic passing. Jim's death was a loss for the whole world, and the fact that Disney continued to pressure the family regarding the sale soured them on going through with it. So they didn't sell the company to Disney, and in fact they were about to halt production altogether on MuppetVision 3D until Frank Oz convinced the family that the world deserved to see the final thing Jim directed. 14 years later, the Henson Company sold the Muppet characters to Disney, and Disney has been sporadic with their use of the IP. But now that Disney has finally put the Muppet Show on Disney+, I think it's time they pay tribute to the beginning of their own relationship with the Muppets, a time when they would give Jim Henson money to do seemingly whatever he wanted. Because like Frank said, the world deserves to see this forever. Also, if they do put this on Disney+, they should include the requisite Eisner intro, and in the bonus tab, they should include the outtakes from the Eisner intro.
Welcome, everyone. I'm in the lobby of the Grand Floridian
Okay, who else can we get?
And then, 2 days after that Tiny Tale aired, October 8th, 2021, we got probably my favorite Mansion adaptation so far, possibly yours too. Muppets Haunted Mansion was a Disney Plus special that gave the Muppets treatment to the Haunted Mansion. The idea of a Muppets Halloween special had been in development hell for decades, and this was finally the piece of corporate synergy to make it happen. We were all excited for this. The Venn diagram of Disney Parks fans and Muppets fans is not a complete circle, but there's a lot more overlap than exclusivity. And Disney went all out in promoting this. There were promotional displays at Disneyland, in the Mr. Lincoln lobby, and outside the Esplanade. It was great to go to the home of the original Haunted Mansion and see promotion for Muppets Haunted Mansion. Even though, I don't know why they didn't bother making the bus concave on this display, like that wouldn't have been any more expensive than making them not follow you. And also, making us associate Muppets with 3D in Disneyland. Kind of a dick move. Now, Allie and I reviewed this special when it came out on our Patreon podcast, link in the description. Muppets Haunted Mansion came out today, and we've already watched it twice. Yep. And, yeah, we loved it.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Okay, episode over. And now, looking back on it 2 years later, I still love it. Maybe it's not the best narrative, but as a jumble of things I like, it makes me happy. Essentially, the special treats the ride like a literary text, such as Christmas Carol or Treasure Island, and has the Muppets reenact it, but it also exists as a story in the Muppets world, so the Muppets are playing ghosts, but they're also playing themselves.
Guess who I am? I'm Kermit! And Kermit is me, get it?
They are pulling off the couple swap costume much better than Minnie and Daisy did. There's plenty of celebrity cameos, maybe too many. Some are inexplicable, and some are taking the roles of ghosts it would have been fun to see Muppets play, but I think the writers really wanted to make sure we don't see familiar Muppets as ghosts until we get inside the mansion.
Everything here will seem familiar.
But while some of the cameos are inexplicable, others make perfect sense.
There's a smudge on the crystal again.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
It's like taking care of my mother. With its short runtime, this special doesn't really have enough time to do everything it wants to do, both be a Muppet reenactment of the Haunted Mansion and an emotional story for Gonzo, but it still does the latter better than Muppets from Space did, and this special hits best when it's marrying Mansion and Muppet moments that just fit naturally together, like matching the ballroom scene with At the Dance or Statler and Waldorf's box with the Doom Buggy. The humor of the Muppets is not the exact same humor as the humor of the Mansion, but it blends a lot better than the humor of Eddie Murphy does.
Don't worry, folks. We're not going to be explaining all the jokes.
I like the original songs all okay. Putting the existing epitaphs to music makes a lot of sense, although I feel like the Imagineers who wrote all those deserve songwriting royalties. And the segue into Grim Grinning Ghosts works, even though the use of it is far too brief. The Be Our Guest / Muppet Show theme mashup that is Life Hereafter is also pretty catchy, but the joke wears a bit thin. But again, the mashup of mansion architecture and the Muppet Show set is just Swedish chef's kiss. And parts of this just feel like it's making up for the mistakes of the Eddie Murphy movie, like doing a better job with the Stop the Wedding climax, and remembering when characters are driving away that there are hitchhikers. I like Will Arnett's take on the ghost host, and I love Taraji P. Henson as Constance. Speaking of Hensons, this is the first Muppet project in ages to have Brian Henson perform. Sadly, this might be because it was easier to get him back if he didn't have to share a set with Steve Whitmire. Almost every currently workable Muppet makes an appearance, which was apparently as much a budget-conscious thing as it was a fan service thing. They just had to use every resource they had. Being filmed pre-vaccine, there were a lot of shortcuts that had to be taken in production. It shot on those Mandalorian screens instead of real sets, and there seems to be as much digital animation in here as there is puppetry, which is probably inevitable when you're working with ghosts, but still, part of the appeal of both the ride's atmosphere and the Muppets at their best is how tactile everything seems, and that is missing here. But despite every nitpick I may have, this special has the heart I want from both the Muppets and the Mansion. Maybe some other adaptations were better at capturing the Mansion's scary side, but to date, this is far and away the best translation to another medium of the Mansion's playfulness. Welcome back to At Home with the Dogginses.
Waka waka, yo.
It is Friday as we were recording this. Muppets Haunted Mansion came out today, and we've already watched it twice.
Yep.
And, yeah, we loved it.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Okay, episode over. No, it was very good, very good.
It was full of fan service, but not overwhelmingly so, which was nice.
Well, it was basically, like, the plot was a thing to hang all the fan service on, both Muppet fan service and Mansion fan service. I am assuming that most of the people who support us, like the types of people who support me on Patreon, will have watched this by the time this episode comes out.
Fully.
So, but just in case you haven't, we are getting into full spoilers here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been excited for this ever since it was announced. My one sort of trepidation going into it was like when they just announced the title and not much else about it, like the title and that it was happening, there was part of me that was a little nervous, like, okay, but is it really going to be the Haunted Mansion, or are they just using the branding of the Haunted Mansion and it's just going to be a generic haunted house story?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did not know if the people behind it were, like, real Haunted Mansion heads, or if it was just going to just be, it's the Muppets in a haunted house, let's call it Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Clearly, I did not need to worry about that.
No, of course, of course.
They were very good at,
I feel like all of our concerns may have been assuaged once they announced that Kim Irvine was going to be showing up in this.
Yes, when they announced a Kim Irvine cameo. And what a perfect cameo she had, too, which we'll get to shortly. But on the one hand, it makes a lot of sense because I'm sure they knew this is going to be airing on Disney+. The types of people who are excited for a Haunted Mansion special were the types of people who watched Imagineering Story day one.
Oh, fully, yeah.
So they will know who Kim Irvine is, and it will be a recognizable cameo to them. That was honestly the cameo that made the most sense. Some of the cameos were a little odd.
Some of them you can obviously tell it's like, well, they're obviously in the family, so it was just easy to pull them off set for one day.
They have shows on ABC, so, I would be curious what the decision-making process was where they were like, okay, let's look at all the iconic Haunted Mansion ghosts, and we shall decide these ones will be played by Muppets, and these ones will be played by completely random celebrities, and then the hitchhiking ghost will be neither.
Yeah. I feel like they just took the projections like that they have when they're haunting in the mirrors.
I wonder, because like they were some real CGI hitchhiking ghosts at the very end in a cameo, and I guess if I have one criticism of the special, it is that it feels like a lot more post-production than in-camera effects. Although I was reading that apparently this was the first Muppets project to, instead of green screen, use like those big digital backgrounds like they use on The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
So probably a lot of it was in camera, but there are other parts where it's clearly like, okay, this is a visual effect, not a practical effect.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, that's the one bit of classic Muppetdom where this does not feel like a vintage Muppets thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and again, I'm not anti-visual effect. I'm not anti-post-production effect. I use them all. I understand them. They are cheaper than practical effects. They are...
And there is, like, a time and a place for them. It's not like, you know, like, when they're used for their time and the place, they can be spectacularly effective.
And I don't necessarily think they were poorly used here.
No.
I just think that's, like, the one criticism I think a person could make of, like, well, if this was a Jim Henson-era Muppet project, they would have found a way to do all that in camera, which may or may not be true, because I think if Jim had lived to today, he'd be doing amazing stuff with... digital visual effects and everything.
Oh, fully, yeah.
One of his last major projects was a 3D real-time CG puppet. So, other than the use of CGI and stuff, in terms of the characterization and the humor and everything, it felt very classic Muppets. And it felt very classic Haunted Mansion. Yeah, it was like two great tastes that go great together.
Yeah.
Just piling on fan service for two of our major fandoms. Honey, is Mansion your favorite Disneyland ride?
I would say so, yeah.
And it's in my top 5. These are not hot takes.
No. It was, I think, when you took me to Disneyland for the first time, even though I had been on rides before, it had been many, many years since I had been to a Disney whatever. And I think you smartly figured out that the Haunted Mansion would be a good practical first timer for me. And it really captured my brain in a big way. I mean, we have a coffee pod holder that is themed after one of the tombstones from the front yard of the Haunted Mansion, which just kind of says something about...
Yes, and you're the one who purchased that on Etsy.
Yeah.
a 3D printed, yes. And of course, we're both big Muppet fans, so two of our fandoms being serviced very well in a fell swoop. And it was great whenever there was a moment where it's like, here's the things you like from both of these things together in one place. Like, using the ballroom scene, like having Wayne and Wanda and doing it like the classic ballroom dance sequences from the Muppet Show was just, like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Or when Statler and Waldorf show up, but instead of the opera box, they're in the Doom buggy. And... It was... But
also in classic form, they have a brief joke, which they have to stop the Doom buggy, as they occasionally do on the ride, because, you know, they had to help somebody either in or out, but they had the opening spiel for that, which was just all fucking hilarious.
Yes, I could not tell, and I did not see in the credits, I could not tell... it did not sound like it was any original Paul Frees dialogue, and it definitely wasn't the Ex Atencio version in California. I could not tell if it was maybe Corey Burton or if it was just someone on the Muppet staff doing the... Corey Burton does the Paul Frees ghost host during Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Oh, okay.
And he...
we think that there was a nod to Holiday as well in there that we were trying to figure out.
There was a potential nod to Holiday because there was like a Muppet monster who was like this sort of plant creature who was not the exact same design, but was very evocative to me of the wreath monster in Holiday. That was the only thing I noticed that might have been a Holiday reference. Other than that, there were no Holiday references that I noticed. But I know that, like, Kirk Thatcher, who longtime Muppet writer and director who directed this special, was on the Muppet History podcast recently, talking about development, and he talked about how, like, apparently, like, Muppet Workshop is a subdivision of Imagineering these days or something. I'm not 100% sure on the Disney corporate infrastructure. But when they were doing this project, they had access to, like, private Imagineering documents about the mansion and like the show Bibles that like even the most hardcore of fans have not seen about the history and lore and workings of the mansion. So yeah, I should not have worried that that it wasn't going to be Haunted Mansion-y enough. But, you know, I didn't know all the details going in. I would not have put it past Disney to just put two names together but not really do either one justice. Because, you know, Muppets are often not done justice by Disney.
Yeah.
Like, I think we both enjoyed Muppets Now a lot, but not a lot of it has really stuck with me.
The cooking segments are the only ones that I will think back on, really, because I think it kind of hits some of that, like, well, it's hard not to fuck up the chef, specifically.
Swedish Chef and Beverly Plume, that's, those segments are fun, yeah, and, like, I loved...
The use of Uncle Dudley for Miss Piggy's, like, you know, tips and stuff like that.
Yeah, I liked the general conceit of the lifestyle with Miss Piggy and just the random detail that her best friend is Linda Cardellini.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the show a lot, but I remember the recurring sketches. I don't really remember individual moments from the show very well. And maybe if I rewatched it more, it would stick with me more. But, like, I liked Muppets Now. There was something that felt very ephemeral about it, I guess.
I mean, you can very much tell this was designed specifically for pandemic viewing, basically, and I feel like, you know, that was the thing that kind of shadowed over everything else, really.
It was... I can't put my finger... And maybe it's just, like, the title literally is Now, so it's like, here, like, this is disposable entertainment, and it will not stick with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, I liked the ABC Primetime Muppet series more than some people did. I don't think it was necessarily the best format for a Muppets series to do it mockumentary style, but I appreciated...
Like a try.
Well, it's like... I think it was the best. We talk about how, like, the real shortcoming of Incredicoaster is, like, Incredibles on a roller coaster is a fine theme for a roller coaster, but it's not the ultimate manifestation of an Incredibles ride.
Yeah.
And I feel like Muppets Primetime was, like, putting Muppets in a mockumentary is a great idea for a mockumentary series, whether or not it's the best version of a Muppets show.
Yeah, it's always going to drive me bonkers about the fact that I feel like, you know, we may be getting a bigger Muppets revival, and it's just because the fact that Chapek is apparently a huge fan of Muppets more than, like, anything else, and that just drives me up the wall.
Yeah, for all of his... Chapek probably said, hey, guys, put this together for this special, although we know Chapek doesn't care about theme parks, so...
No, absolutely.
But yeah, so this special, I think, like, as much as I have enjoyed basically everything the Muppets have done recently, this was the first thing in a while that really felt like, yes, this is the ideal format for a Muppets thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know, like, they've been trying to get together a Muppets Halloween special for decades.
Yeah.
And this is the first one, like, if you don't count the Vincent Price and Alice Cooper episodes of The Muppet Show.
But why wouldn't you count that one? Because it's perfect.
Well, those are both great episodes, but they are just episodes. They're just episodes of the show. They are not, like, specials unto themselves.
No, of course.
So, like, there have been, like, 500 Muppets Christmas movies and specials, and this is the first Muppets Halloween special. And it is a very good use of it. The other trepidation I had as we got closer to it is like, okay, it's clear that they are actually using mansion iconography, so that's good at least. But I got a little nervous. I was like, well, they say they're writing 3 original songs, but are they not going to use the actual song? But another one I didn't need to worry about, Grim Grinning Ghosts makes... it's only sung once as, like, a bridge of the opening song. But then it's used in the score very effectively.
Yeah.
And I think all the other songs are written to feel like they're part of the same sort of piece as Grim Grinning Ghosts.
Yeah.
And I also feel like the most expensive thing for this special was licensing the cover of Dancing in the Moonlight.
Oh, God, yeah.
But it was a good cover. It was
It really was,
It was
yeah.
a good Electric Mayhem cover. Another thing I've noticed about both Muppets Now and this and some other recent smaller Muppets projects is I feel like they're kind of downplaying Kermit a little these days. I don't know if they're downplaying him so much as giving everyone else time to shine. And I don't know if it's partly because they're still trying to gradually dip us into the Matt Vogel Kermit. I'm not sure. It's like, as long as he doesn't take up too much time, as long as we don't hear him talk too much, we can get used to him in small doses, or I don't know. And here's the thing. I like Matt Vogel a lot. I really like his podcast, Below the Frame. And I realized during this, like, I think he is really good at overwhelmed Kermit, at like the sheesh sort of side of Kermit, like the sort of muttering to himself about how frustrated he is with everyone Kermit. Like it was Piggy's idea. I think he has a better handle on that than he has of the hi-ho, excited Kermit. But that's just my take on it. I love him and I love his work. Gonzo and Rizzo get to the mansion. They meet Darren Criss, that musical Harry Potter himself.
Of course.
As the caretaker who would have been played by Don Knotts in the Eddie Murphy movie, but was cut before production. And he sings the song that is, like, it's basically turning all the rhyming gravestones into lyrics, which I thought was a fun way of...
very clever, yeah.
Yeah, of paying tribute to the mansion and its lore, and, like, all the ghosts are celebrity cameos, including Ed Asner, rest in peace. Celebrity cameos who don't really do anything. And then the singing busts show up to then bring it over to Grim Grinning Ghosts, and they are even less explicable cameos. like
Pat Sajak.
Pat Sajak, not known as a singer.
Oh.
And, like, it's all clearly post-production effect. Like, you see in the credits, like, they're all just, like, basically like we did for Haley as Leota in Tony's Haunted Mansion video. You know, they're just sitting in front of a green screen with the makeup and everything, and they just put them in the scene. Like, yeah, Pat Sajak, not known as a singer. Craig Robinson does do singing in his comedy, but, like, barely recognizable in the role.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff Keighley, like, he's like a games journalist. Like
yeah.
What is going on with these singing bus cameos? And, like, there was such an opportunity for the singing bus to either be Muppets or for them to be, I don't know, like Dapper Dan's, like the Eddie Murphy movie did.
Or, like, you know, does Disney have, like, a Jonas Brothers type band that they're, like, trying to promote right now? This would be,
I'm sure they do.
This would have been a great time to, like, pop them as the five, so.
Yeah, like, that would not have appealed to me, but I would have understood it.
Yeah.
Or have it be like the, like, I don't know if they were specifically waiting until they got into the mansion for Muppets to be playing the ghost. Like, I don't know if that was part of the conceit, is that the Muppets, is that, like, inside the, because, like, when they get into the mansion, Will Arnett has a line about, like, everything here will look a little familiar to you. And that's sort of the wave away conceit for why all the ghosts look like people that Gonzo and Pepe know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they were just like, well, outside the mansion, they just have to be people. So it's like the ghost cameos, like, again, like, you got Ed Asner, good to see him, but he barely does anything. You got, you know, Trejo always popping up in Muppet projects.
Yeah, always behind bars, it seems like.
you got Sashir, you got Alfonso, you got, like, it's like, I would like to see any of these people do something. Like,
yeah, and I think you clocked it perfectly. It was like, you could tell this was made pre-vaccine because everybody obviously was, like, shot by themselves and, like.
Yes, this was shot during COVID time, so, like, we saw the COVID tester credit. And it's like, that's dystopian.
Yeah.
Humans keeping distance from other humans, although I'm sure the Muppeteers still had to get very close to each other. But
you know,
I'm sure the Muppeteers are their own bubble right now. But yeah, when they announced that Will Arnett was the ghost host, which is partially true.
Yes.
When they announced that he was the ghost host, I did that TikTok where I was doing Joe Bluth lines for the Haunted Mansion. Did not realize the reveal would be that he actually is a magician, so that's probably part of why they cast him.
Yeah.
In it. They also, one of the things Kirk Thatcher said was that this is not addressed in the special, but this was sort of the backstory they were conceiving as they were designing everything. Was like, they didn't want it to be any one specific version of the Haunted Mansion. They wanted it to be everything from all of the mansions. So basically the conceit was that the same architect who built the New Orleans Square and Liberty Square mansions and the Paris Phantom Manor, this was the fourth mansion that architect built.
Okay.
So that's why, like, it was the same on the inside, but the exterior would be not any one specific. And like he said, they specifically did not want the special to be the Muppets go to Disneyland and ride the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Because Muppets Go to Disney World already happened, and it's not on Disney+.
Okay. Now seems like a good time to pop it on their friends, but
I've been saying, I said that on the D list. He also talked about how a lot of Muppet cameos show up both as fan service and just as we didn't have a whole lot of a budget, so we have to use every Muppet at our disposal.
Of course.
Some of the characters don't really show up in any noticeable way in person, but like the stretching portraits, like Crazy Harry as the TNT guy was like a really...
That's a good
good one. I like the Quicksand guys being Link Hogthrob and Julius Strangepork and the Muppet Miss Piggy from 2011.
Oh, very nice.
Because when I saw them stretching, I was like, is it just going to be all the pigs in space? But wait, Piggy shows up in this later. So then the reveal of having it be the Muppet one was pretty clever. And I did not notice this, but I did not notice this myself. But according to Muppet.fandom.com, the gargoyle candelabras that are in the queue were Mana and the Snouts.
Oh, fun!
Which
fun.
I need to go back and look for that. Watch it a third time. You're watching this for the fan service. That's why you're watching this. You're watching this because you like the Muppets and you like the Haunted Mansion and you want to see all your friends do all your favorite scenes from the ride.
Exactly.
And it delivered. Might have delivered a little more if they had been more creative with the singing busts than just have random famous people be them. But you know who would have been good Muppets to be the singing bust is the although I don't know if they can use these characters anymore, like if there's likeness rights issues, there's that like Muppet Bluegrass Band who are Muppet versions of Jim and Frank and Jerry.
Oh yeah.
Because like they saved Electric Mayhem for the instruments in the Madame Leota room, which was great.
Oh yeah,
like
wonderful.
That was great. But I was trying to think of other like singing Muppets who would have been good for the singing bus. Of course, they probably retired the Jim Muppet. They don't want anyone else doing his voice, probably. But I
mean, probably Brian, but that would be the only one I think they would let do the Jim voice. But
well, they did bring Brian back to be Salmonella and Dr. Van Neuter, so that was nice that Brian got the special appearance credit. It's also nice, like, Dave Goelz is the longest running Muppet performer, so it's always great that he's still at it and when he still gets a chance to shine. And this, like, even though it's mostly gags and fan service throughout, it ends up being a much better, for my money, a much better Gonzo-centric story than Muppets from Space was. Like, because, like, Muppets from Space was like, lonely Gonzo finding out about, like, it was answering questions we didn't want answered about Gonzo.
Yeah.
Always bugged me about it. Like, there are things I like in Muppets from Space, but just on a central conceit level, I take issue with it. But this addressed that, like this basically addressed that Gonzo is the whatever with no fear. So what is the thing he's scared of, and like what drives him to keep doing this? And I thought that aspect of it was like it was kind of shoehorned in just to give this thing a resolution in some ways,
Yeah.
like just to pretend this had structure. But it was still like handled more interestingly, I thought, than Muppets from Space. What other great cameos we got? Ralph as the organist ghost, of course.
That was a good one. Lou Zealand as one of Constance Hatchaway's departed husbands.
Oh yeah, a lot of Constance.
Taraji B. Henson, just in general, was fantastic as
Taraji B. Henson, which like her design was the current version of Constance, but they kept like the beating heart from the older, scarier bride, which I thought was a really nice nod.
Yeah.
There was an appearance from a character who we could not tell if it was Rizzo or not.
Yeah.
Because in the credits there was just Ballroom Rat, and I forgot to keep track of who played Ballroom Rat. But when the rat talked, it sounded like Rizzo.
Yeah, kinda.
But obviously, Steve Whitmire is no longer with the Muppets. And that's the other thing. Like, if this was early 90s, it would have been Gonzo and Rizzo in the mansion instead of Gonzo and Pepe. But
when did the shift from Gonzo to Pepe happen, would you say?
So Gonzo and Rizzo were like the duo for a long time.
Yeah.
Because he
was the one in Christmas Carol, right?
Yes, in Christmas Carol, they were the co-narrators, and in Treasure Island, they were were a duo in that. And then even while Steve Whitmire was still around, like Pepe first appeared, I think, in Muppets Tonight, and then really was kind of either stealing the show or being forced into the spotlight, depending on who you ask, in Muppets from Space. And like Gonzo and Rizzo were still the core duo of that, but Pepe had a lot of scenes. And Griffin Newman had the theory that part of the reason he really popped as a character is that, Pepe was a relatively new character, so he was one of the few characters who was still being played by his original performer. And it's like, even Muppets from Space, Frank Oz did the voice of all of his characters, but he wasn't on-set puppeteering. Like, he just ADR'd everyone. So Pepe was like this new sort of spotlight stealer. And then in the 2011 movie, Pepe has like one cameo. Rizzo doesn't have any speaking lines at all. And I think that was partly because they were trying to distance themselves from the Muppets do a classic book. Like, they were trying to go back to Muppet Show format. And I think, like, Jason Segel is a few decades older than, or like a decade or so older than us. So his nostalgia for the Muppets was like Muppet Christmas Carol. So in his mind, like, the stuff where Rizzo was really in the spotlight wasn't like the real Muppet stuff. So I don't think he was like deliberately ignoring Rizzo. I think he was just deliberately not putting him in the spotlight. And then in Muppets Most Wanted, Rizzo has like one line about like, when Walter is missing, it's like, we just had a whole movie about him joining the Muppets at the expense of some long-running beloved characters. But now that Steve Whitmire is no longer with the Muppets, because Steve was Rizzo, and now that he's no longer with the Muppets, I think they've found a replacement for him, but they haven't really, because like Rizzo has shown up in like crowd scenes, but they haven't really given him center stage, so I do not know who the current performer of Rizzo is. And if this Ballroom Rat, as it was credited, is Rizzo, then I need to go back and look at the credits and see whoever that person is. Like, I guess they're the new voice of Rizzo? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or the new performer, rather, of Rizzo. I know Muppeteers get sensitive about just being called the voice.
Does it say on the thing yet, or?
I can't find, because on Muppets Fandom, if you click Ballroom Rat, it just goes to the general page for rats. And IMDb does not have the credits posted in that much detail yet. I could also pull up the thing on Disney Plus and pause and go to the credits and pause it, so I can head back to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of cameos of Muppets, both old and new, because they had Wayne and Wanda. They had Marvin Suggs like playing Skulls, which was a lot of fun. But they also had like Joe the Legal Weasel from Muppets Now.
That was a fun one. I was like,
Again, as much as individual moments from Muppets now, I don't find particularly memorable.
Joe is like maybe one of my favorite new Muppet additions on. I don't know if he's been in other stuff, but like his bit in Muppets Now is always one of my favorite.
Yeah, he's a good, like, a lot of let's see, and then other human cameos, like, so it's a Disneyland project, so of course John Stamos was going to worm his way in here.
I don't like that man.
Accused creep John Stamos. It could have been just any. The joke was just he's a famous person and Pepe's a starfucker, but his scene is brief enough.
A lot of them are pretty. The human scenes are pretty brief.
Well, and again, especially I keep harping on it, but the graveyard scene at the beginning, like the human ghosts all come back at the end and each get like one last gag, but the singing busts don't come back, and so odd. And again, the hitchhiking ghosts at the end were all CGI, and that easily could have been another Muppet cameo, but it wasn't. Okay, so let's talk about Kim Irvine's cameo.
Let's do it.
So I think you told me about Kim Irvine's cameo before I saw the announcement picture. And in the announcement picture, she's wearing, the CM maid uniform.
Yeah.
But when you just said Kim Irvine's going to be in Haunted Mansion, for a second I thought, oh, are they going to have her be Leota? Because she's done it before?
I mean, that would have been solid, honestly.
But then I saw the picture. It's like, okay, no, she just works in the mansion. But still, that makes sense. And of course, when it was revealed that Miss Piggy was Leota, it's like, well, sure, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Like, I have no objection to that. But the fact that Kim's cameo is in the Leota scene, it's like, given Kim's familial connection to, given that she is the daughter of the actual Leota, and the replacement Leota when they need new footage, she's addressed by name by Miss Piggy, like Kim. Like Kimmy. It's basically like she's credited as maid, but it's basically Kim Irvine as herself, doing the mansion touch-ups that she does in real life.
Yeah,
and she's just like yes, madam. It's like the only way the cameo could have been better is if she like mumbled under her breath something like it's like taking care of my mother. Oh, another great cameo. Not a Haunted Mansion reference, but just a general horror reference is like when Gonzo's running down the hallway at the end, he runs past Andy and Randy Pig from Muppet Classic Theater as the Shining Twins.
That was fun.
Just like, come play with us, Gonzo.
Play with us, Gonzo.
Okay, Bruce Lanoyle played Ballroom Rat, so...
Who is Bruce Lanoyle?
I do not know. I'm guessing an up-and-coming Muppeteer.
Apparently he's frequently paired with David Allen Barclay.
Okay. Well, we will be keeping an eye on Bruce Lanoyle's career and see if he's the new Rizzo or not. Oh, another gag early on that was just such a good Haunted Mansion gag was after the stretching portrait. Like, they work in so much of the verbatim.
He was a country bear.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, he was Henry Dixon Taylor. I don't know which bear that was, but...
Henry's like the MC of the Country Bears.
Ah, okay.
So he was like the... So he was the one inside the suit when the face didn't synchronize with the head motion.
Yeah, and it looks like most recently he's been doing the voice of Pepe Le Pew.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So he's a Muppet and a Toon.
Yeah.
Neat.
Like Webulous World of Dr. Seuss, Muppets Tonight, he was Swiss Cheese.
Okay, so he's been with Henson and the Muppets for a long time then.
At least since like 89 it looks like.
He just hasn't had a breakout role in the core Muppets.
Seems to be the case, yeah.
Yeah, well, if Ballroom Rat is Rizzo, good on him. Rizzo might have been someone else entirely, too, and they just might not have credited. I did see that Colleen Smith was one of the additional Muppeteers. Colleen, a favorite of mine on Spontanea Nation with Paul F. Tompkins. Who I've met a few times. She's wonderful. But yeah, another good mansion gag that I just really loved at the beginning was they do the stretching room scene and it goes dark and they play that very specific scream sound effect that plays in the real stretching room. Mm-hmm. And when the lights come back on, it was the goat screaming.
That was fun. Like, that was cute.
That was such a good, that's such a specific mansion reference because I always thought,
I love the mansion. I always thought that scream sounded maybe not weird, but that scream definitely sounds very specific. And
very much so, yeah.
It just made sense coming out of the mouth of a Muppet goat. According to Muppet.fandom.com, a public screening of Muppets Haunted Mansion was held on October 9th, which is tomorrow as we're recording this. But it says was held. I'll be working. But
where's it at? 'Cause maybe I can, skip over to that.
I do not know. Let me check. The Disney Plus Holostream Drive-In. It will be a triple feature of Muppets Haunted Mansion, the Behind the Attraction episode on Haunted Mansion, and the Vincent Price Muppet Show episode.
That is amazing.
Well, by the time you're all hearing this, it's already done. Tickets are sold out. Tickets for the drive-in are sold out, but that's okay because you can't drive.
That hasn't stopped me before.
It's hard to go into a drive-in without driving. You could just take a very expensive lift to a drive-in.
I can borrow a bus.
Stephen Wright had a joke about going to a drive-in movie in a taxi, and it cost him like $300 or something. I forget the exact numbers, but this episode is mostly just us gushing about details we like.
Yeah.
I did like the design of like withered old portrait of Dorian Gray Gonzo. Like that was
solid.
That was actually a pretty creepy design.
It was initially, I just kind of thought if they used like a mangled up Uncle Deadly puppet for it, but it's like, the more I kind of looked at it, I was like, ooh, scary.
Oh yes, we nearly didn't mention Uncle Deadly, like, the whole, like I remember people anticipating, is Uncle Deadly going to be the ghost host, but having him be the wedding officiant for the latest Constance Hatchaway wedding. I just loved him, like, rolling his eyes when he sees he sees her. It's like, here we go again. And he had that great joke about, like, 6 times the charms, they say, they being Henry VIII. Such a good.
It was solid.
I also feel like you were noting that, like, that final chase scene where Gonzo has to, like, run up and grab onto the hook to open the attic. And you noted that grabbing onto the hook seemed to be their way of referencing, like, the hanging room without actually showing a hanging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone on Tony's Facebook group pointed out that the only like, really iconic reference they didn't seem to get in there was the guy going, let me out, of the coffin, which they had some let me out coming from doors, but not that iconic visual. But, I don't know.
I also don't find that moment to be as iconic maybe as some other people do. I feel like there's some other ones that have more payoff than that one specifically.
Well, it's not like that moment has payoff. It's just an early visual in the ride, so I think it sticks with a lot of people. Because they also didn't really do the MC Escher room from the Florida mansion, which, we don't have out here. But I guess they kind of homage that by having the hallway, like, twist behind Gonzo when he's running during that awesome sort of chase version of Grim Grinning Ghost instrumental.
That was fun, yeah.
But yeah, him sort of like jumping to pull down the attic door was like their way of evoking the hanging without showing a hanging. But also the climax being stopping a supernatural wedding. Was that their way of referencing the Eddie Murphy movie?
Sure, why not?
Or is it just a coincidence? Which, yeah, Uncle Deadly as the wedding officiant, like, I know people were speculating, is Deadly going to be the ghost host? But, like, that was the perfect use for him.
Oh, yeah. Deadly's good in small chunks, not in, like, larger bits, I feel. And this was just kind of perfect for him.
Yes. And then this does fix some of the mistakes of the Eddie Murphy movie. First off, by having the ghosts stay in the mansion.
Yeah.
Even though they're not all seemingly happy haunts. But Will Arnett is a resigned to his fate haunt, I guess. The Muppets all seem pretty happy in there. Mm-hmm. And, like, Walter just absolutely simping over Constance even after she murdered him. But the other mistake it ends is, like, I always rant about the end of the Eddie Murphy movie has that gag where they're driving to the lake and, like, Leota's with them and the singing bus are in the back of the car. Mm-hmm. And it's like, the last shot is driving away. Did you forget you have ghosts whose whole thing is hitchhiking?
Yeah.
So at least the final gag in this one is the hitchhiking ghosts. Other than the post-credits gag, that's Statler and Waldorf in the Doom buggy.
Yeah.
Not saying hurry back, but they had Constance say hurry back. But the credits itself is just straight up the same as the 2011 movie's credits, except
except instead of all dancing to Mana, they're all dancing to Dancing in the Moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked. It worked. I gotta talk about the song in the ballroom scene.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, all the songs kind of feel like they were written to feel at home with Grim Grinning Ghosts. But that song kept dipping into... Well, that scene kept dipping into being a Be Our Guest parody.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated. Like, Will Arnett is like, as the dining room proudly presents your funeral. or whatever the line was.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of lines in there that are straight out of Be Our Guest. And even before they get to all of them... The scene with the rats is like, because Will Arnett has a line about follow the candelabra. It's like, yeah, but it's not French and it doesn't croon. We did that in a beastly cartoon. And so it's like they clearly deliberately aping lines from Be Our Guest. Mm-hmm. But musically, it just sounds like Grim Grinning Ghost mixed with the Muppet Show theme to the point where, like, the end, it's like, I forget the exact final lines, but it's the same cadence as the "This is what we call the Muppet Show."
Yeah.
And it's like they're doing the pull out of, like, instead of them being in those little arches on the Muppet Show set, they're in the arches on the balcony overlooking the ballroom, which was, again, just like 2 fan services for the price of 1, servicing 2 different fandoms. So yeah, I was happy with this. I was satisfied with it.
Mm-hmm.
It did the things I wanted it to do.
It pressed all the buttons.
It did it had the Muppets and it had the Haunted Mansion, and it treated both of those things better than some other iterations of those things treat them.
Agreed.
It felt very in keeping with the spirit of both properties. It was a perfect synergistic merging of IPs. You know, the kind of stuff I live for.
Exactly.
No, it was fun and funny, and, like, the humor was in keeping... Like, it was more Muppet humor than Mansion humor, but sometimes there's a fine line between the two. And, yeah, all of my caution that it wouldn't really be a Haunted Mansion project was fully assuaged.
Mm-hmm.
Again... We fully expect you've all seen it by now, but if you haven't, go ahead and watch.
Yeah.
You get to watch Stamos turn into a physical monster and not just the
yeah.
not just the alleged monster he is.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Also, the other day, as we were recording this, Miss Piggy was on Carly Wiesel's podcast to promote the special.
Yeah.
And Carly asked her what other attractions the Muppets should go in, and Miss Piggy was like, well, we did do a pirate movie. And
I would love to have them do Pirates of the Caribbean, like, condensed. That would be wonderful.
Muppets of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
They can reuse a lot of the characters from Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Honestly, I will take Tim Curry over Jack Sparrow any day these days. But obviously, the real...
And you know how they could incorporate him is that they could have him be in the bed.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. But obviously, the real answer is Muppets Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Starring Statler as Lincoln and Waldorf as John Wilkes Booth.
Love it.
Just up in the balcony. And Fozzie as our American cousin. Anyway, that's Muppet Haunted Mansion. It was fun. Go watch it.
It's very worth doing. It's not going to be leaving anytime soon, so you got time to do.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think this is going to be, much like how Muppet Christmas Carol is an annual watch for me, I think this might become an annual Halloween watch for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's already been a twice-in-one-day watch, and I probably
Most likely we'll do a third time today.
Probably will watch it again before the season is through.
Yeah.
Probably not today, because I have to get ready for Scary Farm, but...
Yeah,
But until next time, this has been At Home with the Dogginses.
Later days, y'all.
Later days.